I had done the Clavey hike multiple times, but without all the brush blocking my line of sight, it seemed like I finally understood the underlying form of the trail. It was good to do the hike in the fall, when thoughts of being dormant and sleeping emerge in my head. Landscapes in the fall seemed to be settling down for the winter. Of course, we were in the middle of a more dramatic statement, the complete stillness after an engulfing event. Near the top of the hike, I was struck by the sight of the manzanita skeletons and the bare, ashy ground. What a hot spot! On the trail, with the ground cleared of vegetation, I could see multiple switchbacks winding downward.
As we approached the rim of the Tuolumne River Canyon, the intensity was extremely high, and this was an area that had a lot of thick brush, in some areas over 10 feet, that would canopy over the trail, and it burned almost completely. All that was left was just white ash and bare earth and some charred stalks. And this really opened it up. The erosion potential is going to increase, and I mean, you could see all the way down to the river. There's not much that's going to stop or impede that erosion. The burn was much more moderate down the trail, and there was a lot of things that where the trees had burned out on the bottom and had fallen across the trail, making travel fairly difficult. I've been down there several times before. This was the most challenging because we spent quite a bit of time, especially on the lower half of the hike, going around fallen trees, climbing over, around, and scrambling, which always takes it out of you. And that loss of the top ground cover, the duff layer, made for a very slippery slope. It was more taxing than usual, and I think the issue in the coming years is going to be keeping the trail open with erosion and with more trees falling down across, and the trees that died but are still standing over the next probably 4 to 5 years is going to make it very challenging to access the river from this point. We were antsy to get down there to see what was left of our equipment. It's very rare to be in the right place, to have long-term monitoring equipment in an area that has rapid change. We were hoping that we had some images of this fire. So when we got down there, we looked for the tree that had we looked for the tree that had our camera on it, and it had burned out and rolled down the hill. So where's our camera? And we looked down the hill, and we managed to find it. It was the tree was right on a precipice above the water, and luckily the camera didn't go for a drink. We scrambled down and retrieved the camera in the box and realized that it had still been shooting the whole time, and that made us pretty happy to see that the camera could survive something like that, and that our data was safe.
As we approached the river, it was a welcome sight to see that the riparian corridor was still intact, and my favorite campsite still had an oak tree shading the kitchen area. We spent most of the day in the shallow river, collecting data and not really thinking about the fire.
Being at the Clavey confluence is always a treat. Whether you come by raft or by foot, it takes a commitment to get there. So when you do, you breathe it in and look around.